Welcome to Freely Eat. We are going to be making chocolate cheesecake. As you can see by what I have laid out here, it is a little bit more in depth, but it's absolutely worth it. Let's get started. First off, we're going to get the chocolate melting. Turn a double boiler onto high heat. And then measure out 10.5 ounces of chocolate chips. While the chocolate chips are melting, we will make the crust. Begin by scraping the cream from 16 Oreos. This is about half of a box. While I was preparing to make this video, I thought I had lost my recipe. I was super bummed because I love this chocolate cheesecake. And I was assuming that my daughter, who's 20 months, must have gotten a hold of it and decided that it was some great drawing paper, and then like crumpled it up, and I thought that it was just drawing paper and I threw it away. But turns out when I was looking through my recipe binder the second time, there it was. And it was pretty crazy because the first time I looked, it was nowhere to be seen inside that recipe folder. Have you had that happen before? Now, I don't know if I just missed that page or if this was a God thing, because I was praying for that recipe. I'm sure you guys have had experiences like that too, where something you just can't find it, and then it shows up in somewhere that you know you've looked before. So tell me in the comments, what was it that you were looking for and how did it turn up for you? Next ingredient is some butter. We want about 3.5 tablespoons. I love how this has the markings on it, so we know that's about here. Okay. And now we want just a tiny little bit of salt, 1/4 teaspoon. And you can go shy on this. 1/8 teaspoon is fine too. It depends if you're using salted or unsalted butter. This butter is salted, so I used a little less. But if you're using unsalted butter, you can use a full 1/4 teaspoon. All right, now let's blend it up here. All right, there's our beautiful crust. Let's put it in the pan. Here's my ancient springform pan that we're gonna be using. I'm just gonna shake it out to get it about even. Then we're just gonna press it down. And when you add the butter for this, you'll wanna make sure that it is baking butter, not the table butter that's like whipped, because that one has extra water added to it. That's why the lower calories, and it will make your crust a total mushy mess instead of a nice crunchy delicious crust. I have made that mistake before, so learn from my mistakes. All right, there we go. That is our beautiful little crust. Let's finish the filling. We're gonna take half a package of Firm Tofu. I just drained the water. Now 1/2 cup of coconut oil, melted. It's really important to melt it before adding it, because if you don't, it will never melt and it will be gritty instead of smooth. I have made this mistake too. I just put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. 1/4 cup of coconut oil, melted. Now we need 1.5 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. This gives the tang that is normally in cream cheese, which is a typical ingredient in cheesecake. Now 1/2 teaspoon of nutritional yeast and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now 1 package of silken tofu, drained, and 1/3 cup of maple syrup. 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 cup of soy milk, and finally 1 tablespoon of raw carob powder. You can also use 100% cocoa Dutch processed unsweetened cocoa powder. All right, we're finally ready to blend. We'll get this all smooth and then we'll see if our chocolate chips are ready to add. There, that looks pretty smooth. Now let's look at our chocolate chips. Pretty much ready. There are just a few that look like they haven't melted. I'm gonna stir it around and give those a chance to get fully melted. Like the coconut oil, if we don't get these fully melted before adding, there'll be little chunks and it won't be entirely smooth. So fully melting is very important. All right, it looks like we've got some fully melted chocolate chips. Now we're gonna blend this up. All right, there we go. It's ready for our crust. I'm gonna pour it in. Oh my mouth is watering already. I have done this cheesecake with sugar-free chocolate chips. There's a certain kind that I will show you that works very well, and with unsweetened soy milk, and it turns out that it is great. Now we will refrigerate overnight. Don't cheat on this step. I know it is tempting, very tempting, but let it set up fully, otherwise you won't get the consistency. All right, so it has set overnight, and we get to take off this form. Ooh, look at that.